All right, so get this. We're diving into some seriously fascinating predictions today. The Kremna Prophecies,
Oh, yeah, those are interesting.
attributed to Mitar Tarabić,
Uh-huh.
this 19th century Serbian peasant who supposedly foretold major world events.
Right.
But here's the kicker. The guy was reportedly illiterate. So are we dealing with a true visionary or a really good game of historical telephone?
I mean, that's what we're going to try to find out, right?
Exactly.
What I find so fascinating about these prophecies is the sheer range.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking incredibly specific events like world wars, alongside these really vague pronouncements about humanity's future.
Right?
It's this wild mix of how did he know that? And wait, what does that even mean?
Totally. So, okay, picture this 19th century Serbia.
Okay.
Life is pretty simple. Folks are working the land.
Yes.
And along comes Mitar Tarabić claiming he can see the future.
Yeah, and not just him, right?
Oh, this is where it gets even weirder.
Yeah, his uncle supposedly had the same gift.
Like, was there something in the water in Kremna?
Maybe a family secret.
Right?
And don't forget about the local priest, Zaharić.
Oh, yeah, he's key to this whole thing.
Yeah, he's the one who meticulously documented all these prophecies. I mean, you have to wonder what was going through his mind as he was scribbling down these predictions about flying machines and world wars surrounded by farm animals and fields of wheat.
It's such a contrast.
Right.
All right, but let's get to the good stuff, the prophecies themselves.
Okay.
Tarabić apparently described World War I and II with startling accuracy.
Really?
I mean, the guy died in 1899. How could he have known about the horrors of trench warfare or the rise of totalitarian regimes?
Yeah, that's a million-dollar question. Some people see it as proof of genuine foresight, while others suggest that later interpretations might have been massaged to fit the events.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But then there are these predictions about technology that sound eerily familiar today.
Oh, like what?
He talks about these boxes that show events from far away,
Hmm.
which sounds a lot like TVs. And he even warns about people becoming too reliant on these small devices, neglecting their relationships.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like he was an early social media critic.
Yeah, it's interesting how those warnings resonate with our current anxieties about technology and its impact on society, whether it's prophecy or insightful observation. It definitely taps into a contemporary fear, are we losing ourselves in the digital world?
And then there's the prophecy about small man from the north who emerges before World War III.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Now that's just begging for speculation.
Right.
People have been trying to pin this on various world leaders for decades.
Makes you wonder.
Like a real-life Nostradamus puzzle.
It's a detail that really captures the imagination and makes you wonder about potential hidden meanings or foreshadowing. Raises the question, are we all just pawns in some grand cosmic play, or do we have the power to change the course of history?
Okay, but this next one is truly out there.
Okay.
Tarabić predicts weapons that induce sleep and restore sanity.
What?
Instead of bombs and bullets, we get nap time. I'm not sure if that's terrifying or hilarious.
It's a bizarre twist on modern warfare, to say the least. It almost feels like a commentary on the futility of violence and a longing for a more peaceful, albeit slightly strange solution. Imagine a world where international disputes are settled with a global siesta.
Now that's an image. And finally, we have the prophecy of a safe haven at the world's end,
Yeah.
often interpreted as Australia.
Right.
Tarabić paints this picture of a land surrounded by water as big as Europe, marked by 3 crosses. So pack your bags and brush up on your Aussie slang, folks.
This has led many to believe that Australia, with its geographic isolation and those 3 crosses on its flag, one representing the Southern Cross constellation, is the place Tarabić envisioned as a refuge from future turmoil.
So here we have it, a mix of specific historical predictions, cryptic warnings about technology and society, and a dash of end-of-the-world drama. But the big question remains, are these prophecies genuine glimpses into the future or cleverly crafted folklore?
That's what we're here to unpack. There's no definitive proof either way, which is part of what makes these prophecies so fascinating. And let's be honest, who doesn't love a good mystery?
Right. But before we dive deeper into specific prophecies and the controversies surrounding them, I'm curious to hear what stands out to you, listener. Which predictions seem particularly relevant or unsettling in light of our current world? Hold on to those thoughts as we continue our exploration of the Kremna Prophecies and their enduring power to both captivate and confound us.
Let's dig into some of the more controversial aspects of these prophecies. One that always raises eyebrows is the claim that Tarabić got his prophetic abilities from this mysterious stone sphere.
Wait a minute, a stone
Yeah,
sphere?
he found it buried under his house.
Hold on, are we talking ancient aliens now, a magic crystal ball? What's the deal with this sphere?
Well, according to the prophecies, this sphere came from the heavens and gave Tarabić the gift of foresight. It's interesting because similar spheres known as the Costa Rican stone balls have been found in other parts of the world. They're these perfectly round, massive stone balls, and nobody really knows who made them or what they were for.
Okay, I have to admit, that's a pretty wild image, a peasant digging up a potential alien artifact and suddenly becoming a psychic. But was this sphere just a random rock or something more?
That's the mystery. The Costa Rican spheres have sparked all sorts of theories, from ancient astronomical tools to, yeah, even evidence of extraterrestrial visitors, but nobody knows for sure. As for Tarabić's sphere, well, it seems to have vanished, adding another layer of intrigue to the whole story.
So we've got prophetic spheres, predictions of world wars. Is there anything else that makes these prophecies so debated?
Oh, absolutely. There's a theory that Tarabić might have been a pawn for the Serbian government. Some historians argue that King Milan Obrenović, who ruled Serbia at the time, might have used Tarabić to spread prophecies that served his interests.
So like a 19th century PR campaign, was the king trying to boost his approval ratings with some divine intervention?
Well, one theory suggests the king wanted to divorce his wife but needed some kind of justification back then. Royal divorce wasn't exactly a walk in the park, so critics argue that a prophecy conveniently popped up predicting troubles for the king unless he separated from his queen makes you wonder about the line between genuine prophecy and political maneuvering.
That's pretty crafty, using divine predictions for a royal breakup. But if these prophecies were all about serving the king's agenda, wouldn't they have focused more on Serbian triumphs and glory? Instead, we get warnings about technology taking over, society falling apart, and a devastating world war that doesn't exactly paint Serbia in the best light.
That's a good point. The prophecies don't shy away from portraying a pretty bleak future, even for Serbia itself. They talk about internal conflicts, foreign meddling, and basically a global catastrophe that leaves only a small group of survivors in a distant haven, not exactly a rah-rah go-team message.
Which brings us back to that safe haven at the world's end, often interpreted as Australia. It's fascinating how this idea has captured people's imaginations, particularly those worried about global conflicts or ecological disasters. It's like a modern-day Noah's Ark scenario, finding refuge from a world gone mad.
The idea of a safe haven untouched by chaos and destruction has a powerful appeal, especially in times of uncertainty, whether or not Australia is the specific place Tarabić had in mind. It's become a symbol of hope and resilience for some.
But even in this supposed paradise, Tarabić warns that humanity's problems won't magically disappear. Conflicts and struggles will still arise. It's a bit of a bummer, isn't it? Even when escaping to a new world, we can't seem to escape ourselves.
It's a sobering thought that simply changing location won't solve the deeper issues we face as humans. The prophecies suggest the real challenge is changing ourselves, not just our surroundings. It's about confronting our flaws and working towards a better future, regardless of where we are.
So are we doomed to repeat the same mistakes even in a post-apocalyptic paradise, or can we learn from the past and create a better future?
That's the question the Kremna Prophecies leave us pondering. They offer a compelling mix of warnings and possibilities, urging us to consider both the dangers we face and the choices we have in shaping our destiny. But there's another fascinating thread in these prophecies that I think we should explore.
Oh, lay it on me. What else did Tarabić have to say about the future?
Well, remember how he seemed wary of relying too much on technology? He believed it was blinding us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe. He even went as far as to say that the most educated people were the biggest obstacle to true knowledge.
Whoa, that's a bold statement. It's like he's suggesting we need to unlearn some of what we think we know to see the world clearly.
Exactly. He seems to be advocating for a more holistic way of knowing, one that combines intuition, spirituality, and personal experience alongside rational thought. It's a perspective that challenges the idea of scientific progress as the only path to truth.
It's pretty mind-blowing that these ideas are coming from a peasant who lived a simple life in rural Serbia over a century ago. It suggests that wisdom and insight can come from unexpected sources, and that there might be more to reality than science can currently explain.
And that brings us to one of the most intriguing and controversial aspects of the Kremna Prophecies, Tarabić's claims about extraterrestrial life. You could say this is where things get really out of this world.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Aliens flying saucers. What did Tarabić have to say about life beyond Earth? So did he actually claim to see aliens? Were there any close encounters in 19th century Serbia?
Well, his descriptions are a bit more abstract than, little green men in flying saucers.
Okay.
He talked about humans traveling to the moon and other planets in vehicles like carriages, but ultimately failing to find life forms that resemble us.
So space exploration, but no intergalactic meet and greet. That's a little disappointing. What do you say about the kind of life that IS out there?
He claimed that life exists throughout the cosmos, but it's not something we can easily grasp or even perceive with our current understanding.
Really?
Yeah, he compared it to a hair and a scalp, suggesting that this otherworldly life is incredibly close, yet we remain totally oblivious.
Okay, that's both fascinating and a bit creepy. It's like there's this whole other dimension existing right alongside our own, but we're walking around with blinders on.
Exactly. And it ties back to his warnings about the limitations of human understanding and our tendency to dismiss anything that falls outside our scientific paradigm. He was basically saying, hey, there's more to reality than you think, but you're too busy looking down your microscopes to see it.
It's a pretty humbling thought that we might be just one small piece of a much larger, more complex cosmic puzzle. Maybe we need to take a step back from our self-proclaimed intelligence and acknowledge that we don't have all the answers.
I think that's a key takeaway from the Kremna Prophecies as a whole, whether we're talking about technology warfare or the vastness of the universe. Tarabić seemed to be pushing for a sense of humility in the face of the unknown, a willingness to acknowledge that there's always more to learn.
It's interesting how these prophecies continue to spark debate and intrigue over a century later. They tap into some of our deepest anxieties and hopes about the future, from technological advancements to the search for meaning in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain.
Absolutely. The Kremna Prophecies offer a compelling blend of warnings and possibilities, urging us to consider both the potential pitfalls and the incredible opportunities that lie ahead. They remind us that the future is not set in stone, but rather something we actively shape through our choices and actions.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Mitar Tarabić and his enigmatic predictions, what's the final verdict? Are we looking at genuine glimpses into the future, clever folklore, or a bit of both?
That's the beauty of it. There's no easy answer. The Kremna Prophecies remain open to interpretation, inviting us to grapple with complex questions about human nature, the limits of knowledge, and the mysteries of the universe. They're a reminder that sometimes the most profound insights come from questioning what we think we know and embracing the unknown.
I think that's a great note to end on, the Kremna Prophecies. Prophecies offer a unique blend of history, mystery, and speculation, leaving us with more questions than answers. But perhaps that's the point, to spark our curiosity, challenge our assumptions, and encourage us to engage with the world in a more thoughtful and open-minded way. What do you think, listener? Are the Kremna Prophecies a roadmap to the future, a cautionary tale, or simply a fascinating piece of folklore? We encourage you to explore them for yourself and draw your own conclusions. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep looking up and keep asking questions.